My name is Claire. I served in the Argentina Salta mission. Yo me llamo Claire. Yo serví en la misión Argentina Salta. I was in Argentina for about a year, and I went there to serve a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I wanted to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with the people there and just share hope and love. My mission language was Spanish. It was difficult to learn it. I didn't speak any Spanish before I went there, so when I got to Argentina, it was a few months of not understanding everything, slowly understanding more, and then eventually being pretty close to fluent. I would say with about 4 months living in Argentina, I felt pretty confident understanding everything. And then after living in Argentina for about 6 months, I felt completely confident speaking, listening, everything. One of my favorite experiences that I had living in Argentina was just visiting people in their homes every day and kind of experiencing their day-to-day life and participating in like cultural things that they would do with their families, something like as simple as sharing a meal or like passing around a drink they call mate, which is super cultural, stuff like that just kind of lets you into a glimpse of their lives and their cultures and what's important to them. The main diet in Argentina is it's really just carbs and meat. So we would just eat a lot of like kind of a version of spaghetti and like ground beef and just tomato sauce, or like pasta and chicken, or empanadas, rice and chicken sometimes. That was all pretty common. One food that I had that was pretty different from what I was used to that I didn't love was something called locro. So locro is kind of like a chili almost. It's like a big stew, and it's full of like, I think it's sweet potato, and then it's also just full of different parts of like meat. So it's full of like the small intestine of like a cow, and also like pieces of the stomach, the tongue, just all sorts of stuff in there. That's pretty hard to stomach if you're not used to it. So that was not my favorite. One food that I love is something called guiso, and it's kind of a stew as well, and it's more like lentils and rice in like this thick tomato sauce, and there's often like chicken in it and sometimes like cheese on top, and it's just super flavorful. It's super good. The culture in Argentina is really family oriented, so everything there, every holiday, every event is super focused on the family. You pass it with your family. Some of the biggest holidays there are Christmas is a really big holiday, but New Year's is actually even bigger. Their traditions for like Christmas and New Year's are just lots of fireworks. That's like the biggest thing, is at midnight on both those days. Fireworks, it's like a huge deal, but they're also really into football, of course, soccer. Other cultural things are like mate. Food is really important for their holidays as well. Having a big asado, or like basically a barbecue, is really important to the family there. So yeah, the last big holiday that I would say is really important is like the 1st of May is a really big, I'm pretty sure it's an Independence Day, and that is a really big celebration as well. Everybody in Argentina loves to play soccer and drink mate. Everybody, rich to poor, doesn't matter who you are, that's what you're doing at any given time of the day, is drinking mate, maybe having a siesta, taking a nap, and then you're going to go play soccer afterwards. Mate is an acquired taste for sure. I would describe it as you have your cup, which is also called a mate, and then you fill it with like herbs. It's kind of like an herbal tea almost, and then you fill that with like really hot water, and you drink it out of a straw that has a little filter in the bottom so you don't get all the herbs in there. And it's this really caffeinated herbal tea basically, and I love it. It's an acquired taste though. I know a lot of people that don't like it, but you can't live in Argentina for a long time without learning to like it. It's super cultural to just sit in a big group of people and just everybody passes around the mate. A little bit about safety in Argentina. I served in the north of Argentina, close to the border of Bolivia, which was not quite as safe. So especially as a woman, as a sister missionary, we weren't allowed to go in a lot of the areas where like our male counterparts, where the elder missionaries would be able to go. Some things that we had to do to make sure we were staying safe were I had to carry everything that I carried on me in a clear bag. I was not allowed to have money with me, or at least like in a way that could be seen. If I was carrying it, I had to tuck it in my clothes or something like that. I was not allowed to wear jewelry besides like one pair of earrings. We had to be really careful. We walked everywhere that I served in my mission. All my areas had a map with like kind of red zones marked off where I wasn't allowed to be at all, or I wasn't allowed to be late at night, just things like that. Food safety was a pretty difficult topic in my mission. it was really hard to be careful enough. A lot of people in my mission got sick. Salmonella and E. coli were really big problems there. Our water tested positive for salmonella the entire time I was there. So we had to drink out of filtered water systems. It was really difficult. We weren't allowed to accept any water from any source outside of our house. So anytime that members of the church would offer us a glass, we visited them or people we were teaching, it was kind of a hard topic to broach to say that I couldn't drink that. As far as food, we had to be really careful with what we ate as well. We weren't allowed to eat a lot of vegetables, especially like green leafy vegetables like lettuce, because it's really hard to wash well enough. Meat, we also just had to make sure that if other people were cooking for us, that they cooked the meat really well, because if not, it was pretty typical to get salmonella or food poisoning of some sort. The lifestyle in America versus Argentina, it's not too different. I mean, we have the same type of like things that we're trying to do every day. Like they also are going to work, they're going to school. I would say the main differences are the emphasis on family so much more in Argentina, and also the schedule. So here it's pretty typical to wake up early. If you're working, you have a 9 to 5, or you're in school for most of the day, things like that. You come back in the afternoon. There it's a pretty different schedule. So for kids who were in school, it was really common for them to go to school later in the day, or they would either go for the morning or late in the day, but never the whole day. People who were working, it's really common for mostly men to work and women to stay at home and take care of the kids. And even the men that are working all day, they're coming home midday for a big meal with the entire family, and they're taking a nap. They're taking a siesta for several hours in most of the areas I lived. It was from like 12 to 5 people would be home, and then maybe they'd go back to work after that, depending on your job, things like that. Yeah. One really valuable lesson I just learned in general from the culture of Argentina is the familial emphasis. It was something that I just fell in love with as soon as I got there, is that there's just so much more, I would say, devotion in the family than there typically is in America. Like there's generations of family living in one house. Every holiday, every important event in a kid's life or a grandkid's life, the whole family is there. And of course, that is partially due to the general living condition, how hard it is economically that they're all still living so close together. But it just creates this really special relationship that I think is lacking a lot of times from like American households where, we turn 18 and we leave the house and maybe we're not as close with our families after that. They don't really have that disconnect. They're spending their entire lives with these people. And so I just learned really quickly like how important it is to have that type of close, loving relationship with a family, especially like in a gospel setting every day as a missionary, thinking about how families are forever. Our families are eternal if we are following the gospel of Jesus Christ and living the way that we should. Then these relationships are relationships that are going to last for all of eternity. And so having that close of a family relationship is, I think, so important. I've been back in America for almost 3 months. And I would say what I miss the most about Argentina is a lot of the sense of purpose that I felt like I had visiting people, sharing such important messages about the gospel just to uplift them and help them find happiness and greater joy in their lives. And I would also just say that I miss just how welcoming and loving all the people in Argentina are. Even people that just openly rejected us from the moment we stepped into their houses were still so kind to us and loving for the most part that it was just really easy to feel at home in Argentina everywhere that I went. If I could go back to Argentina tomorrow, I would do it for sure. And I would do it because I just think those are the most enriching experiences I've ever had, having such an important purpose, being with the people, sharing something so important with them. And I would say that I just have forged so many relationships in that culture and in that setting and with those people that I would love the opportunity to go back, see some of those people again, and just have that same relationship that's forged when you're sharing something so beautiful and so important with people who just need it and they recognize the value of it. It's just something so special. Some things that I found that I loved doing there, some cultural things that I loved participating in were especially like the passing of the mate, super cultural, but also like asados are like these big barbecues they have oftentimes for like most of Argentina, at least that's what I've heard, is that it's really, really traditional to have a big asado with like all your friends and family on Sundays. So we would often participate in those. I also just loved like it's so common for the kids to just be running around in the streets, like going to play soccer, playing with friends anywhere they can do that. So whenever we had the opportunity to go kind of participate in an event like that with like youth in the area and like play sports with them, things like that, that was really, really fun for us as missionaries, and that was something that I loved doing. Algo que me gustaría decir en el idioma de mi misión en español a las personas en Argentina es que amo a la gente en Argentina. Mi experiencia allá fue increíble, la más linda que alguien puede tener. A todo de Argentina, las personas, a la comida, a la cultura, a las costumbres, y si yo podría volver mañana, lo haría. Amo todas las experiencias que yo tuve allá y todo lo que yo aprendí, y creo que la oportunidad de servir una misión, especialmente en un país donde es un poco diferente, donde la cultura es diferente, donde va a aprender más, como afuera de sí mismo, es algo increíble, y una persona debe aprovechar de esta oportunidad. And finally, to close, I would just love to share that the opportunity to live and serve the Lord Jesus Christ in Argentina was such an incredible experience for me. And the opportunity to be exposed to the different culture and just customs of the people of Argentina, was so amazing. I learned so much apart from what I thought I already knew about just life in general and what's important. And I think that the opportunity to go to a country like Argentina, where the culture and just the people there are so beautiful and so loving, is something that changes anybody who has that experience. And it's the most valuable thing a person can do.